So who just Oh, great. Thanks for joining us. I think we're just waiting. Jennifer, you with us? Okay. Well, we're just going to wait. Jennifer is runs runs WHC TV, and as you know, these meetings are recorded, so we can't start until we get the okay from her. And Megan is with the town clerk's office, I believe, and she is hosting for us
Oh
today.
yes, Jen actually just gave me the go ahead where we just went live, so you guys can start whenever you're ready.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Hold on a sec. Well, good afternoon, all. Um, where is my script? There we go. Uh, this meeting has come to order. My name is Chuck Corsi, and I'd like to welcome you all to the virtual November 2nd meeting of the West Hartford Commission on the Arts. Because in-person attendance at public meetings is likely to increase the risk of transition of COVID-19, this meeting is being conducted in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order number 7B, as extended by Executive Order number 9A, which permits municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Commission members and some town staff are participating via WebEx. The public can watch this meeting on Comcast Channel 5, Frontier Channel 6098, or www.whctv.org. With regard to the public comment portion, I wish to first emphasize that phone access to this meeting is only intended for members of the public who wish to actively participate and provide comments. If you are on the phone and do not plan to speak, please hang up and watch live on television on West Hartford Community Interactive Comcast 96, Frontier TV.org. Again, if you do not plan to comment, please hang up your phone now and listen to the hearing on the TV or the internet. Thank you. For the members of the public who are still on the phone, please do not mute your device. The meeting moderator will keep everyone's line muted until it is turned to speak. If you mute your own line, the moderator may not hear your voice, which she calls for comment. I will explain how the hand raising process will work when the public comment, when we begin public comment. Because of the virtual format, there are some special rules and procedures that I need to cover before we begin. First, I ask all participants to please mute your devices when you are not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand and I will call on you. If you are participating via audio only and I do not call on you and the debate is ending, then please unmute your phone and let me know so that I can recognize you. Second, pursuant to Executive Order 7B, all speakers must state their name and title each time they speak. Third, because of the difficulty in tallying voice votes on a video conference, all votes must be taken by roll. I will now call the meeting to order and conduct a roll call. Let me get my roll call list. It is here somewhere. Okay. Karen Bachman.
Here.
Matthew Bragg.
Here.
Javier Colon. Chuck Corsi is here. Latanya Farrell.
Here.
Nancy Hoffman.
Here.
Carol McCabe.
Here.
Marilla Pinedasor.
Here.
And Susan Rothenberg.
Here.
All right, we're batting 1,000, 2 for 2. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting on October 5th, 2020. Those have been all distributed to you for review. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? To approve the minutes, I'm sorry. I see Carol McCabe. Do I have a second? Nancy? I'm going to take a roll call again. Hold on one sec. Okay. Karen Bachman,
Approve.
Matt Bragg,
Approve.
Javier Colon,
Approve.
Chuck Corsi approves, Latanya Farrell,
Approve.
Nancy Hoffman, Nancy Hoffman, I think you're
Approve.
excellent. Carol McCabe,
Approve.
Mirella Pinedasor,
Approve.
Susan Rothenberg.
Approve.
All right, boy, that was easy. Okay, old business. We have no old business, but we do have some new business to talk about. And actually, before we get into the 4 items that are under new business, I was hoping that Sue and Marilla could talk a little bit about their emails that they sent out to everyone, and kind of get their perspective on the duties and responsibilities of this commission. I'll take notes, include them in the minutes, and we can, at the next meeting, we can talk more in depth about some of the individual things that they're referencing. So, Marilla, would you like to go first?
Sure. I've been thinking about roles and duties of the commission, and I think that we should serve as a center resource for all the art and culture collaborative, and seek to include new artists, new arts and culture entities that live in town, and why not brainstorm together about ways that we can come together, enhance the cultural display of talents that we could tap into here in town. So I think it would be very important to create a list, just like Sue also suggested, because I read her email and we kind of chimed together on that. So creating a list, and then perhaps come up with some criterias of how to get these new artists and cultural entities vetted by us, perhaps. I don't know how you feel about that. That's my opinion. I think that if we are to endorse an artist, we could perhaps talk or interview and see in what capacity we can collaborate. Now, since our last meeting, I had the chance to talk to the West Hartford Symphony Orchestra's artistic director, and Mr. Sharapa, and also with the Ballet Theater Company's artistic director, Ms. Datella. And I asked them how are they faring, how COVID impacted their organizations, and how can we maybe plan for the future, and what would they love to see happening immediately and in the near future. And the consensus was that figuring out ways that we could perform outdoor would be great. And this extends not only to what happens, in the spring, but in the future, if we could combine, let's say, the orchestra that plays live with the ballet theater company performances, and maybe bring in the chorale and have an event where the three organizations participate, I think that would be fantastic. But the problem is, where would we find that space where we can all perform on stage? So I think this is something perhaps we could brainstorm about and present as a proposal for the town hall, for the town to think about, and extend, I don't know, one of the stages that are existing already in the park. I know that Elizabeth Park has rather small stage, but perhaps figuring out if that could be extended to accommodate an orchestra, maybe the chorale, and some dancers. So I think the commission should be the vehicle that helps everyone navigate and find each other to collaborate on bigger events, bringing live music into an art gallery, bringing live music in the Blueback Square. And I know that Blueback Square has a lot of events that are planned, but in a way that 2 or 3 or more artists could collaborate.
That's great. Kudos. I'm a big fan of Rick Sharappa's. He was my high school choir teacher. Great guy. And I do think I was walking in Elizabeth Park not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and the Hart Jazz Ensemble was playing on the stage there, just doing a practice. There were some people listening. It was absolutely beautiful, and I'd love to see a lot more of that. And again, that's something that we together can help promote.
If I may, Chuck. So I just jotted down a couple of ideas. I don't know if you would like me to just go over a couple of them.
Sure.
But I said, whenever required by the script, bringing a live performer or singer or dancer on stage for the theater companies. Or we already know that Nutcracker happens each December, and we could have the live orchestra playing. I know that the chorale and the orchestra already talked about possibly putting something together. That was the goal, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. But as I said, an art gallery showing live music that matches the theme style. So if it's an art gallery with somewhat more of a classical style, would go with pictures of an exhibition. Or if it's a conceptual art display, it could go, with, I don't know, a jazz band, not necessarily with newer music. I also think that we should address and try to reach elderly in the nursing homes and those children that are disabled, and at this time, for example, they don't have access to music lessons or instrumental lessons. So those would very well fit nicely into an event at the park where they could get in, out easily, not bothering anyone. And they're very shy of coming into a concert hall right now because
Right.
It's very hard. It's difficult. Then the nursing homes could very well serve as an opportunity for young students to perform, parents and children, special bonds. So I see that, they would be happy to see the little kids come in, and the kids need to perform, so it's a win-win situation. We would just bring a big smile on the residents.
Yeah, I think I especially love the idea of getting the arts into some of our assisted living and nursing homes. I think that's a great idea. Do you have anything else you want to add, Marilla?
No, I'm a little bit nervous. Please excuse me.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great.
I express myself this way.
Feel free anytime. This is the Arts Commission. Anytime. And if anybody wants to go off, and I'll do my thing. And Sue, how about you? Would you like to share a little?
Hi. Okay. Hardest part is getting off mute.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not sure if everyone saw my email from last night, or I'm gonna just I was focusing on. I loved, by the way, Morales, all your great ideas. So when I took our little homework assignment, checking into the duties and responsibilities of the Commission of the Arts, I was, kind of looking at it like broader and like process, like looking at what I saw as the process. Mm-hmm. So the first item was creating that inventory of West Hartford artistic and cultural resources. The first thing I identified there was having our group just discuss what constitutes an arts and cultural resource, because I wasn't sure if we all had the same idea. I mean, arts to me is a little more self-explanatory. Art groups, chorales, orchestras, dance companies, but I was a little bit unsure of what the group, how they interpreted cultural resources. And so I was, thinking we should perhaps talk about how we'd identify who would be these cultural resources, what would constitute a cultural resource. And so we kind of know what we're going after in creating this inventory list. So that was my first thought. And then, of course, second item was to survey the identified points of contact for each group member of that West Hartford Arts and Cultural Collaborative to come up with the initial listing of the resources. Third was reach out to West Hartford schools to identify other resources that we may have missed that aren't, on our list yet. And then fourth was to do an internet search for other West Hartford fine artists, musicians, performance artists, and cultural groups. So that's what I was thinking about for our first objective, to create that inventory. And then the next item was creating the formal West Hartford arts policy. So I don't know. I don't know how I would start that. I've never been involved in something like that. So my thought was to do an internet search for established arts policies created for other Connecticut towns that maybe align with our town, review and discuss these with the commission to come up with a draft arts policy to put forth to the town council. Let's see. The item in item C in the duties and responsibilities it's an action we would take to make recommendations to the town council, town manager, board of ed on art-related matters in furtherance of the town's art policy. So we'll have to come up with our art policy before we can do number C. Number D is encourage and assist in the display and presentation of art, performance, and cultural activities. And so my idea there was for the commission to brainstorm how this can be done, and that's exactly what Morella was just doing. And I was also writing things down like promoting advertising of events on maybe the town website or on the, channel, what is it, Channel 5, our access channel. Work with groups to ensure they're reaching out to local news opportunities. And then the second objective of the encouraging and assisting in recognizing town artists, I figured the commission, we have to discuss ways of providing recognition of the town artists, select from these ideas how to proceed and determine if town council approval is required to implement. So you can tell I'm an attorney. I look at things like a process. And that's how I was kind of deciding what we had to do.
I think both of your very welcome.
Thank you.
I think maybe with this, what we can do, and thanks. If folks, if they're not talking, if they can mute. My dog already interrupted me, so I apologize for Jack. But maybe what we do is I'm going to go back through your emails and through the notes I just took, and at our next meeting, what we can do is talk a little bit more about each one. There were a couple of items we had at the last meeting that I want to give you some updates on, and more importantly, get your input on them. I also, I've had a couple of conversations with the Corporation Counsel's office about, what we can and cannot do. We're part of town government, whether we like it or not. And there's a process and a channel. I was thinking, it'd be great if we had, a West Hartford Arts and Culture Commission Facebook page and a Twitter page, or Instagram, or some of the other things. I mean, I think that's a great way to communicate. They didn't say no, but they don't have. I think, for the exception of leisure services and like the different parks, they don't do a lot of Facebook. I mean, the town, in my opinion, is in terms of their media savvy, in terms of outreach, could be a little bit more engaged in social media. But I know that they have certain limitations that we as private people don't have. The West Hartford Arts and Culture Collaboration, on the other hand, they do have a Facebook page. So at the very least, we can use that as an outlet for some of the things that we're doing. And obviously, I would encourage, if you haven't already, I would encourage you guys to visit that page and follow, like it, and post your stuff. That's the most important part. Anything you have relating to arts and culture, please post, and encourage your friends to like it too. This
is Catherine. Am I allowed
Yes.
to make a public comment now, or do
No.
I have to wait till the?
No, Catherine, we'll be at there will be an agenda for public comment.
Oh, okay. Because I had something related to what you just said.
Yeah, no, this is just the commission right now.
Okay.
Thank you. So we'll talk more about that then. But if it's all right with you, is everybody fine if I'll circulate the meetings, the minutes of the meeting later on this week, by the end of the week, and we can come back to some of the items that Marilla and Sue talked about today, because I think there are definitely some things that are very important. Just clicking down, and I've got like 5 different documents I'm trying to look at. Bear with me one second. Some of the things that were on the agenda for discussion, the public murals, and again, my own little I'll tell you, one of the things I'm most concerned about is getting artists and arts and culture institutions in business and working. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a while before we have indoor performances or shows. The governor just kicked us back to level 2 today, and this winter things do not look very promising for the winter. So I think it's imperative that we try and do everything we can to help those folks that live either gig to gig or show to show or painting to painting, what have you. So one of the things that we talked about last week was public art and public murals. And I had talked to Helen Rubino Turco. Helen is she's the director of the Department of Leisure and Social Services. And this committee kind of falls under her, and it also falls under the economic development side of the town government, because for every dollar someone spends going to a show or an exhibit or a concert or a play, $3 are spent in the local community. So what we do is very important for economic development because it helps the businesses in our community thrive, not just the arts and culture institutions. I was when I talked to Helen about murals. Actually, I talked to Kristen Gorski, who is the head of economic development, and she gave me all the rules and regulations of putting, how you go about if you want to do a mural, such as the one that Juniper Healthcare did on New Britain Avenue in Elmwood. And it's something that anyone can do if they want on their property. There are certain things that they have to do in terms of an application and certain do's or don't. It can't be seen as an ad. I mean, you can't put up a wonderful mural and insert Moe's or Stop and Shop in it. It can't be of a commercial use. But what I was thinking of doing is that maybe I'd be happy to draft a press release that we could circulate to the media. And again, it probably wouldn't come from us. It would come from the town. I'll figure that out. But we'd have a nice supportive quote from Mayor Cantor in there talking about, giving the example of what Juniper did on New Britain Avenue. And if other businesses or property owners want to do the same thing, here are the easy steps that you need to follow. And then we're going to have a further conversation with Kristen about public land. The other stuff I was just talking about was on private property, but on public land, there has to be a little bit more of a process to that. And Kristen is talking with the town, and I am pushing her that we could hopefully come up with something, a resolution that the town council could pass, that we could get out and we could publicize, so that not only is people could do this, but maybe get some artists back to work there. The other issue was park performances in our public parks. Now, today is not a great day for a concert or a play outside, but I think that we need to be planning for those beautiful spring days, hopefully in March and April. I'm talking tomorrow with Mark Blanchard, who's a manager under Helen Rubino Turco at Leisure Services, and he is the one that we go through to put forward a policy for the parks, how we can do this in the park safely, legally. There's other things that come into play, insurance, indemnity, how big, all these sorts of things. But I really think it's important that, we take the time and make sure that if there's a string quartet that wants to do something in the park and put out, a guitar case for some people to throw some money in, or if somebody wants to rent, have their own little gathering at Duffy School in the park there, or if they want to do it, at Wolcott Park or any of the public parks, that there's a process that people can follow. And again, hopefully, get some of our friends back to work. And that leads me into something that I think both Sue and Marilla talked about, is the identifying and giving artists a public place where they can raise their hand and say, hey, if you're looking for someone, to do a small gathering in your backyard, or if you're looking for somebody to, paint a lovely portrait of your child, anything, if you're looking at anything, here are lists. And, we're not endorsing anybody, we're just gathering names and putting them there. It's almost like I don't have a good analogy, but like a little phone book for art, so we can have it divided into different groups. How that looks, I don't know. But I think at the very least, it's something that we could, if the town doesn't allow us to do that, because then for whatever reason, we could ask our friends at the Arts and Culture Collaborative to help us with that and put something together. They have some very talented people there. Marilla talked about several, several, whether it's Stephanie at the Ballet Theater Company, or Rich, or some of the other folks. I mean, there's a lot of talented folks in that group, and perhaps we could talk a little bit more about that. And if anybody has any ideas, more importantly, about what that could look like, a directory or a list of artists. And I don't think we have to keep it to just West Hartford. I think it could be, our community. There's lots of great towns. We live in a great town. I love West Hartford, but our community doesn't end at the Prospect Avenue or New Britain Avenue or Mountain Road or whatever. I think, this is something we're doing for our community, and it just isn't limited to West Hartford. I don't know. That's just my own opinion. I'm one voice. I've babbled a lot. Does anybody have any? Yeah, Karen.
As Sue said, the hardest thing is to unmute yourself.
Yes.
There's a couple of things that go into the whole idea of a database. One of them is what you just said. One angle is where people could not promote themselves, but be part of letting the community know they're out there and this is what they do if you want them to do it. That's sort of what you were just saying. But it's very hard in a town so rich in arts organizations and other cultural organizations. It's hard to find out who they are. I mean, if you attend certain things, you know some. But I'm still finding out about organizations that are out there that I didn't know about.
Yep.
Because you can't find them easily in any town source. And I think we could be of some help in asking the town to get a little better. A page on their website, I don't know. They have some other thing they have out there on Facebook, at least where you could hit a button and be connected to the present 2020-21 arts organizations that, carry information about themselves and who the contact people are. I mean, of course, I also believe we should be helping the town think about some kind of centralized calendar, but maybe that's too far away.
No.
But so that when we're running, when anybody comes into the town, they can easily find what's going on here, and not leave it up to, I think there is some kind of an app out there, but that also includes things like karaoke and bars. I mean, it's a very widespread offering. It's helpful, but not everybody who comes to town wants to put that app on their phone. I'm rambling too, but my point is to think about a database also as something the town could develop. I mean, we can help with that, as can the collaborative, but and advertise ways that organizations can make sure they get their name counted, they get their information out there. But they don't have a very good system right now. It's very difficult.
Yeah. One of the, before the COVID hit, one of the things that the collaborative was most interested in doing was, getting that calendar up so that not only can people see, oh, I can go to the Playhouse this week, or there's an exhibit at the Noel Webster House, or there's a concert with the symphony, but also so that each organization knows when not to schedule performances or events. That is one of our top priorities, is to get, when you go onto the town and you see the boards and commissions, that there is a link, hopefully on the homepage also of the town of West Hartford, arts and culture calendar. I mean, that's a priority, and that shouldn't be difficult at all. But you know what? How about, I'm interested to hear what some of our artists have to say in terms of what's out there, because I don't know, is there something, a database like this that's already out there for our community? Javier, I see you got your hand up, and then Latanya.
Thank you. I don't believe there is there's not a database that's coming to mind. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but to my knowledge, I don't know of a database that has a specifically West Hartford or West Hartford centric group of artists and of artists that basically folks can choose from if they're looking to hire people, they're looking for folks to support. I think if there is a way that we could somehow if we can make the shell of the database or basically make it so that artists can go to a certain website and register and say, hey, if you are a West Hartford artist and you'd like to be included in our this collection of artists that we're putting together to get the word out on you, to help your community, which would also help our West Hartford community. I think if we could make that and have that for folks to go to, so they can go in, register, put in what they do, put in their websites, their group name, maybe a spot where they can put their website with a gallery, some of examples of what they do. That could be a gallery for some. It could be a couple YouTube videos for others. But that way it'll give folks an idea of what it is they do, kind of like an electronic business card, so to speak. They can put that up and then submit that to us, where we can kind of go through it. And I guess, going back to Marilla's point earlier, how we approve folks. And then once we do that, then that person would be added to our database. And it just would be, I think, a matter of getting the word out to the artists, basically letting them know that this is information that we're trying to collect. And if they'd like to be a part of the database, they can go to this website, fill out the form, and that way we can start to collect all of the folks that we have. And it's just a thought that I had as I was listening to you all.
Thanks, Javier. What do you think, Latanya? I saw you had your hand up.
Yeah, along the lines of what Javier was talking about with creating a database, I know that there are several Facebook pages online or Facebook groups online of Connecticut artists, but to be able to have a website or something that these artists can go to and register for our database. We can also reach out to local art galleries. There's a couple of local jazz radio stations here or there. We could let them know that as well. There's also other live music spots like the tipping chair that was just They had music every single night, several times a night. But just to think of these different places that we can, if they put something up on their website or sent it out to their own Facebook friends or Facebook groups, we can get a database full, and then we can vet folks from there just by looking at the database of information that we get from folks that have a website and such.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it comes down to, it definitely can be done. It probably takes money, which we don't have. We have no budget, but that's okay. We can figure something else. Figure out. That's what collaboration is all about. But I would encourage you all to think about this a lot, because I do think it's important. Some sort of a database where artists can register, and it doesn't. If it's not branded, West Hartford Arts Commission, that's fine. That's not important. The important is to provide something out there. If you know of someone out there that could do this, that has the web expertise and management, maybe we could always drum up some donations for something. But I'll continue to talk to the town about this because it is important. But I think we should also continue to think about this on how we can do this. I'm sure we can. It just takes a little imagination and maybe some money that we can get creative with on that as well. I think, let me get back to my, okay. So I talked about the national. Well, I have actually, I think we've exhausted all of those things that we have on the agenda for new business. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to add? I think we have a lot that we can discuss at our next meeting. I'm excited to get going and doing things. Carol?
Oh, Chuck, I just wanted to comment on like Karen said, the page on the website where you could list all these, the Arts and Culture Collaborative. I would think would be a really simple thing. And I feel like, you're working with the town, but you can give us assignments too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be happy to try and work on that and see if they can, I don't know who it is at the town that's in charge of the website, but that doesn't seem to me to be something very difficult. The database, yes, that's very involved. But,
Carol, that's great. Thank you for volunteering. Do you know Helen? I know that. Helen would probably be a good place to start.
Okay.
I would imagine that you probably get to Renee McHugh.
Yeah, I know Renee too. Okay.
Yeah, Renee, because we do want to, this commission should be listed on there, but under the commissions, but there is another spot on the town. I've seen it on the website before. And the town actually, they're changing website vendors, so
they are. Okay.
It's a good time for us to, as they're changing, to get included.
And second, I just wanted to ask where the mural is that you referred to.
Okay. It's across. It's at the end of Newington Road. It's where Newington Road and New Britain Avenue meet.
Okay.
The CVS. Across the street from CVS is Juniper Healthcare.
Oh, okay, it's right there.
Andre Burrell bought it.
Yeah, Andre. Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful mural. Not to embarrass anyone on the phone, but there is a prominent West Hartford artist that is on that mural.
Oh.
And a former television or current television star. But it's great. It's a wonderful mural.
Well, I love your thought about that, and I was thinking, a place that might be good for private business is like on New Park, where the brew pubs now are, or the food truck areas.
Absolutely.
That kind of, they've got that. They seem to have that, if they would be willing on their buildings there, but it would be good exposure and
right.
that kind of thing.
and that's, I envision, like, it's not our job. I mean, if it's on private property, it's the job of whoever the property owner is to pick an artist, pay an artist,
Right,
come up
right.
with but we want to let people know that this is something you can do.
It's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah.
And my last thing, I like your idea of just not restricting it to West Hartford going across the line. Is the Connecticut Historical Society considered culture? I would think it would be, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they might be good to have on the list as well. And that's my last comment.
Thank you, Carol. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Okay. With that, we have no reports, so we'll move on to the public comment portion of the meeting. Megan, do we have? I know we have Catherine. Can I just let Catherine go ahead?
Yes, you can go.
Okay. Catherine, thanks for your patience and joining us. Catherine, if you saw from my email, works for the town, but is also active with Sustainable CT. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you. Yes, and I can't see any of you, so I'm just here on the phone. One small comment I wanted to make before I started talking about Sustainable Connecticut. You guys were talking about Facebook pages. So just for your information, the West Hartford Human Rights Commission does have a Facebook page, a very active one. The Clean Energy Commission that I serve as a staff liaison to, we do it similarly. Maybe it sounds similar to what you guys were considering. There is a separate Facebook page, not too many followers, but it's called Sustainable West Hartford, which is not a town. It's not associated with the commission itself, although run by some of the commission members, but it kind of flies under a different heading. So that's just some information I wanted to throw out there for you. So yes, thank you for having me. I think this is really exciting to sit in on one of your first meetings. I know that I have talked with Helen Rubino-Turco in the past, and the Arts Commission was on the books, but it sounds like it was recently revived, so that's amazing. And so I am the energy specialist for the town, so I don't usually fly in the arts realm. I am involved in energy efficiency and renewable energy projects on buildings, but my role as a Sustainable Connecticut coordinator means basically I'm here to answer your questions about the program, let you know about it, and also every August I compile the town's application and compile all the information and upload it to the program. I don't know how many of you know about Sustainable Connecticut. It's been around. It's a program run out of the Institute for Sustainable Energy at Eastern. And it's basically a municipal certification program. It's voluntary. West Hartford has joined by town council resolution, and it's a voluntary certification program which recognizes Connecticut municipalities for being thriving and resilient communities. So towns pick from a menu of different actions that they can do, and they earn credits or points towards certification. Those actions are in 9 different categories. Some of them have to do with economy, some natural resources, some facilities, but there is action category number 3, which is vibrant and creative cultural systems, which is right up your alley. And under that category, there are numerous sub-actions and even sub-sub-actions. So I'll just read off a couple to give you a flavor. There's map tourism and cultural assets. There is action 3.2, which is support arts and creative culture. And now within that, there are things like supporting artists, establishing an annual recognition program for artists, establishing an arts district, establishing a poet laureate, which I know we've already done, establishing an artist in residence. It's a lot of the things that I just heard you talking about. There are also, I think some of the things you talked about might also fit under thriving local economies and jobs. And then in action category 7, there's things about holding sustainability events, which could be focused on arts as well. Anyway, so I just wanted to let you know this program exists because at some point it would be lovely to get you guys involved. It's a way of recognizing things the town, along with things that you guys are doing, and getting recognition for them. We can submit for these different action categories that we might have done as a town or as a commission. But the nicest thing about this program is that it comes with a whole bunch of resources, opportunities. It comes with a framework. So while you guys are thinking about what you might want to do as a commission, you might turn to this program and its list of actions to get ideas, although you have great ideas yourself. There's also a whole bunch of training and resources, peer learning. There are 112 of Connecticut's 169 towns enrolled in this program. And it has a very extensive website where if any town has done any of these actions, they've posted that information online out there. So if you're interested in starting a particular program or policy, I heard you guys talking about policies, another town might have theirs posted up there. Or we can find out who's done it and put you in touch with them. So there's great opportunities for sharing resources and partnerships. I heard you guys talking about working outside of West Hartford boundaries. And then a final thing I'll leave you with, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, is funding. So the Sustainable Connecticut program comes with it's a really flexible program called the Community Match Fund. It's basically like a GoFundMe page. It's for you get to set up your own project. It doesn't have to be a town-led project. There is no fancy application. There's no deadline. It's a 50-50 match on anything that qualifies. It's a very simple process, but for every dollar that you raise, it's online crowdfunding. So they're looking for lots of little small donations, and they will match your funding one for one. So when you're talking about public murals or holding a public event, if you can come up with a budget and it meets it fits with one of the actions or the mission of the Sustainable Connecticut program, you could get that project funded. And this, like I said, this funding doesn't have to be at all driven by the town. It can be done by some of your partners. So nonprofits, even an individual, a school, anybody can go for that funding as long as the town is a registered Sustainable Connecticut program member. So that's it. I'll leave it there. I can answer questions if anyone has it, or I think Karen and Chuck might have forwarded you some of the information I sent, so you can take some time to digest it and get back to me if you have any other questions. Helen Rubino-Turco knows about this program. Renee, most anyone who you would talk with at the town should be aware of this program. Todd Dumais, the town planner, Kristen Gorski
Yes.
in economic development. She also knows about this program as well. And she's worked with some groups too who have gone after the funding. And some
Excellent.
of the parks people have done projects. So.
Yeah, I think we looked at the folks that did the outdoor classroom at Westmore. We were actually looking at that. I think it was right when it was starting out, the fund, about a year ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's great. I mean, I was almost going to say you buried the lead because I was I was waiting for the money. I was like, okay, how can we raise the money for some of the things that we want to do? But if we did come up with a plan that maybe incorporated does it have to be a physical thing? Does it have to be an event or a work of art?
To be funded? No.
Yes.
It does not. I can point you to the requirements for the funding. They're willing to listen. The main criteria for the project is that they have a public benefit, and that they align with one of the actions or one of the broad action categories of the program.
That's fabulous. I'm sure we can find several public benefits that we might need some money for. That's great.
Yes.
Catherine, I'm really glad you...
Hartford was a big early mover in this program and doesn't have any active projects at the moment. But again, share it with all your partners too, because it does not have to be at all driven by a person within the town or by the government itself.
Right.
It can be private citizens. The other thing I was going to say is, you guys mentioned the nice thing about this program too is it's kind of a two-way street. You know, so you could always use this program as a framework and refer to it as an encouragement for the town to do something for it, along with you. Say,
okay.
But that's an action in sustainable Connecticut.
I like it. I love it. I think
our commission uses that quite a bit.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions for Catherine? I think we might want to put this on our agenda for the next meeting, but also discuss possibly what it might look like that we could get behind. You know, I'm thinking, outreach. Quiet, Jack. Outreach. To try and find those artists, develop that database, bring in new members, and then in kind of in the same spirit of Carol's comment earlier, I think what we'd also do at the meeting, because we may have several of these initiatives, and I think it'd be a good idea if maybe we pair up, maybe get two people on some of these different items to kind of work on. And again, this is not, we're not under guns, no pressure. Obviously we want to get stuff done. Hold on 1 second. Okay, you can go. It's always the smallest dog that makes the most noise. But we could kind of pair up on some of these initiatives that we want to take a look at. But I'm very interested in the Sustainable Connecticut idea, because it's a good way to get some recognition, but more importantly, it's a good way to get some funding to do some things that we'd like to do.
Well, I'm available anytime if you want to call me at work or for the next meeting. I'm happy to try and answer questions or point you to the people that can help. If you'd like, I can send you a more detailed list of some of the different actions that fall under the program.
Yeah, please, that'd be great. Thank you, Catherine. And you can send it to me, and then I'll share it with the rest of the commission. And why don't you let us talk about it amongst ourselves next week, and maybe in the next month or two, we can, after next month's meeting, we can start working on a plan. And then we'd really need your input in how we can best present the plan. Does that work for you? Great, thank you so much. Megan, do we have anybody on the phone that wanted to speak?
I don't believe so. There was a number before, but it disappeared.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss or bring up? I think we've covered a lot tonight, and I'm excited to start making a dent in the coming months. And I really appreciate everybody being here. It's a great group. I'm really proud to be on a call with all of you guys. If unless anybody has any other further questions, comments, last time, everybody make sure you get out and vote tomorrow if you haven't already. Is there a motion to adjourn? Matt, is there a second? Latanya? Oh, sorry. God, I got to take this roll call again. What a pain. Hold on. Get the list back up. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. Karen Bachman,
So moved.
Matt Bragg,
So moved.
Javier Colon,
So moved.
Chuck Corsi says yes. Latanya Farrell,
So moved.
Nancy Hoffman. Off mute, Nancy. Hey there, Nancy. I can't see you. I'm sorry. I think you're on mute. Oh, I see you. Okay. Carol McCabe,
Yes.
Morella Penedasor,
Yes.
Susan Rothberg.
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Feel
Thanks,
free
Chuck.
to email me. Sure thing.
Thank you, Chuck.